Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This will be another Raid Shadow Legends video. This is going to be probably the question I get asked the second most amount of time in my Discord, in my Twitch, on videos that I put out on YouTube. How do I gear my champions? Whenever I do an account takeover, the first thing I'm looking at is how are those champions geared. So this is going to be a guide to different things to focus on when you're gearing your champions. I'm going to give you a couple of live examples and hopefully it will make things a bit clearer. This is kind of going to go from beginner up to end game player. It doesn't really matter where you are in the game because the fundamentals still mean the same. So what we're going to look at then, the first thing we're going to look at is a couple of champions, and I'll talk you through what I mean by the fact that this can just register for anyone. So the first thing I look at is, does that champion have an ability that I want them to land? And I'll give you a few different examples of that. So let's have a look then at an epic, perhaps one that most people will have. Maybe I use a rare actually. So War Maiden. War Maiden, a farmable rare. Does she have a skill that we need her to land? So when you look at your skills, and it's all about knowing your champions, guys. It's all about reading the abilities that they've got. So she's got here a debuff, which is a poison. I don't particularly care about that poison, so that's not something I would care about in terms of my build. She's got an increased attack thing here. That doesn't need to, nothing in your build would change that. But she's got decreased defense, AoE, decreased defense. This is an ability we want her to land. Okay, so the first fundamental that I look at is, if there's an ability that I want to land, we need to build accuracy. The first one, A, accuracy. So accuracy is extremely important on your champions. More important than any other stats if you want to activate their abilities. And their abilities are kind of what make them who they are in this game. And a good rule of thumb, if you are trying to get through dungeons, then take the level of dungeon that you're on, multiply that by 10, and it would give you a good rule of thumb for how much accuracy you will need to put on that champion to get their abilities to activate most of the time. I'm just going to throw up as well a little grid from my Discord. So it's in my Discord under Clan Boss Info, which I did for a different video. I'll throw it up here as well. Here we go. This grid here. So for different levels of Clan Boss, here's a good kind of rule of thumb for how much accuracy you will need to land your abilities against those clan bosses successfully, regularly. Yeah. So easy 20 up to Ultra Nightmare 220. This is a good rule of thumb. It's not exact science. There's still always a chance to have things resisted. But if you go to these levels, you should, 99% of the time, hit your abilities. So first thing is accuracy. So this is a good example. A debuff here needs accuracy to land, and you need to put on your champion accuracy on your items. Where do you get your accuracy from? It can either be substats throughout the gear. So any of these substats could have accuracy on them. I would suggest this is a good way to go. If you've already got them to a 50 or a 60, you could put the accuracy in their amulet or as a main stat in the banner. So it could be a substat on your amulet or a main stat on your banner. That's your best and highest way to get accuracy, is this banner. And then I'd say worst case, if you cannot get accuracy anywhere else because of your gear, you could go with a main stat accuracy piece. So I could filter on my chests, and chest is the only place where you can find this. You could go primary stat accuracy, and then you can boost accuracy through your chest. But if you do not have enough accuracy and they're not landing those abilities, they're a waste of time anyway. So an accuracy chest is better than not landing your abilities, okay? But I prefer to get it in substats, and as I've shown you here. There's also masteries which help you with accuracy. So the first one in the support tree gives you a standard plus 10. The second one increases accuracy by 20 when this champion's got no skills on cooldown. So that'll be pretty much their first move each time. And then this one here increases accuracy by 4 for each enemy alive, up to 16. So in the arena, you get a straight 16. For most dungeons, you're getting a straight 16 unless you get to the boss. There's also an accuracy main mastery. This is only really used endgame arena. I wouldn't suggest using it anywhere else. So accuracy is the first most important stat. War Maiden was one example of a champ. Another good example in a different way with a different type of skill would be somebody like a Haikatoon. So Haikatoon does not have, she does have a debuff actually, but we're not concentrating on that one right now. We're concentrating on this move. Attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of decreasing the turn meter by 15%. Anything written like that, where they've got a chance of decreasing something, requires accuracy. So decreasing turn meter requires accuracy, the same as applying a debuff, and it needs the same level of accuracy. Another good example is a Cold Heart. Decreases the turn meter by 100%. It needs accuracy to do that. If you don't have accuracy on your Cold Heart, she is rubbish. She is poorly built. So that's two examples. And then you'll get somebody like an Apothecary who no turn meter, no debuffs, nothing here. It's all based on him doing things to your own team. Same with this. He's one of the champs that needs no accuracy at all, so you can build just other stats on him. You do not need accuracy in his build. So first thing to look at then is, does my champ need accuracy? And if they do, make sure they've got enough for the level of dungeon or raid or whatever that you're doing. Accuracy, most important stat. Second most important stat then is speed. Now, pretty much as a rule of thumb, everybody in your teams are going to want speed boots. As a rule of thumb, that's a very general rule of thumb, but if I look through my champs that I've built, speed boots, speed up, speed boots, pretty much everyone, probably about 95% of my champions have got speed boots on them. The only time they haven't is if I'm speed tuning for clan boss, or if I'm doing some sort of nuke strat. So my campaign farmer is a good example that doesn't have speed boots on because she's got offensive boots, because she's just there to one-shot all of the waves. But generally, speed is king in this game, in dungeons, in clan boss, in the arena, and you want to be going fast. Really, you don't want to be building champions with less than 170 speed when you get them to level 60. If we go back to this sheet here for the clan boss, this is the speed that the clan boss runs at for each different level. If you are slower than the clan boss for the level that you're on, the clan boss is going to be lapping you, and you don't want that to happen. So this is a good rule of thumb to kind of sense check where are you in the game and what level speed should your champions be running at for your level of the game. In the arena, you kind of want to go as fast as you can to get your turns away as quick as possible. So my speed lead has got my fastest possible gear on. Even if I look at my kind of secondary setup when I'm doing guides, you know, my Haikatoon here is a speed lead for me. She's got 267 speed, and you might be like, whoa, how have you got that much speed? It's not actually that crazy. So we've got a double good roll here on a banner. I don't care what banner I have, I just want it to be fast. That's all I care about if I'm looking for a speed lead. Speed boots. Speed on every single item with my best rolls I can get. Whether it's a single roll, a double roll like this one, or just a flat, no double rolls or anything like that at all. Speed boots, make sure you get your set bonuses on speed for your speed lead and get them as fast as you can. Everybody else though, you just want them to be fast enough to be relevant in the dungeons. There is no point having someone like a Skull Crown built like this with crazy damage, crazy crit damage, but she is too slow to activate any of those abilities. There is no point to it. So she is a waste of time in that build compared to somebody like, let's pull out someone else who does damage for me. Yeah, this is a good example. Someone like this Umbral, she's built to do some damage, but she's also built to do 182 speed. So she will go faster than the dungeon mobs that I'm trying to clear. So first stat you want to concentrate on is accuracy, then you build your speed. Third thing you need to do is to build your champions strong enough to survive. So accuracy, speed, defense, ASDs. Accuracy, speed, defense. So defense comes in different ways. If we're talking about clan boss, you want everybody in your in your team to have as much defense as possible. So if I look at this Marta build, I have built tons of defense. And that means she has got defense on her ring. This should be defense if you weren't high end like I am. And then she needs accuracy here. But we've got defense percentage on her chest. Let me pick someone else actually that's perhaps a bit more loaded than she is in defense. I'll go with the full extreme because this is the fun one to show, I guess. But my Valkyrie, defense, 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 2 defense sets, as much defense as possible on each of these sets. Defense on the banner, defense, defense. Yeah, she is stacked because I need her to be a defense machine for Clan Boss. So if you're building champions for your Clan Boss, another good example would be a rare Frozen Banshee. She comes with quite a low base defense, so I need to push it up so she can survive a long time in Ultra Nightmare. So she gets a defense ring with defense percent, a defense amulet. She has to have an accuracy banner because I need her to land her poison. But then the secondary I'm looking for is a strong defense with speed. You start to see these 3 things lining up. We want defense on her chest, defense on her gloves. If I could build her with enough speed, I'd get defense on her boots as well. But we need the speed first. Accuracy, speed, defensive stats. Clan Boss, we need defense. And again, I'm going to ping this up again because it's pretty relevant. Wrong one. That same table that I just showed you. This is a good rule of thumb for minimum amount of defense you need for different Clan Bosses. Defense and value. Yeah? This will enable you to last longer in those fights. You do more damage from poison than you do from attacks. So defense keeps you alive to keep those poisons ticking. When you're talking about building people for dungeons, your survivability or defensive stats come in a different way. So generally for dungeons, if you're trying to make someone survive, you need to build them with high HP levels. Reason being is the mobs target in on low HP. So if I want to keep Allure alive, I build her accuracy first. She needs to land her abilities. I then make sure she's fast. Then I build her defensive stats. She's a dungeon champ, so I build her high HP. What's going to happen is the mobs will look at her and say 43,000 HP. They'll then look at a defensive champ standing next to her, 30,000. And even though he can survive a ton more hits because his defense is stacked, they'll still go for him because he has got low HP. So in dungeons, your defensive stats you want is a higher HP level, especially on your attacking champs. So if I think about my Cold Heart, another good example, I need to make sure that my Cold Heart has a higher health level than someone like a Tyrell or a Razin or whoever you're going to use as your tank, whilst keeping her damage high. So accuracy, speed, defensive stats, and then the last thing you want to do is punish the enemy. So that's where your damage comes from. So once you've ticked the box on all of those things, you then can start to embrace the damage. And I think we've kind of talked about it here a little bit with the Cold Heart, but I got her health up enough. I got her accuracy to the right place. Her speed is kind of at the minimum I need it to be. It's low. It's at the minimum I need it to be relevant in level 20 dungeons. I got her health to the right place for her defensive stats. And the way I did that was through HP on the ring. We've actually got attack percentage here. It's a really bad example. Let me find another one. Let me find another one quick. Who's going to be in for damage? Bellower. Who else is in for damage? War Maiden. She's got defense on. Here we go. This is a good example. So Soulbond Bowyer. She has got an ability to land, drop turn meter. So she needs her accuracy up. So I did her accuracy first, then I put her speed up, then I made sure she had enough health before I decided to build any damage into her kit. How do I do it? We've got accuracy coming from the banner and from the amulet. We got HP levels coming from her chest. Really good place to put your defensive stats on your champs is through an HP chest. I do it, I certainly used to do it anyway, in 95% of champions that I run. Now I kind of overpower stuff, so it's not as important for me, super end game. But almost every takeover I do, I follow this build type. HP percentage on the chest, speed on the boots, and I try and get, if I can do it, crit damage on my gloves, but put crit rate on other pieces of gear, because you still want a high crit rate. So 69%, the reason why she's doing 69 is because she's actually got additional chance to hit crits, but you really want to get as close to 100 as you can. And that's another example of read their skills. Has an additional 25% chance of inflicting a crit. If you don't read that and you just buffer up to 100% crit, you're wasting stats. Read people's abilities. So this is almost like a perfect aggressive build once I've built my defensive stats. Crit damage with crit rate with speed, and then we find crit rate everywhere else to make sure she hits the crit rate level she needs. I do the same with my Cold Heart builds. So we got HP levels up, we got a speed up, we got our accuracy up, and then we push damage. Crit damage here, crit damage and crit rate here, crit rate, crit damage, HP chest, this is a good example. Accuracy here, crit damage here. So we got our defensive levels to the right amount, then we pushed damage. It's also just worth saying, you know, in terms of gearing people, reading their abilities is so important. A good example of that would be someone like a Man-Eater. You know, just understanding that he's got a decreased attack debuff, which can go on all enemies. That needs accuracy to land, but also the requirement for him is the attack has to be critical. So if you don't read it properly, there's a good chance you don't build him with high crit, you build him defensively, and then you don't land your abilities, and you're wondering why. It's like, what's going on? Same type of thing on an ultimate Gaelic. If I got him out of the vault, is he out of the vault? Yeah, ultimate Gaelic. So this is another one of those champs. So he's got all sorts of stuff going on in his kit. You have to read it quite carefully. So you know, he can place HP burn, so he needs his accuracy. If he's under increased attack buff, that's one requirement. Fills his turn meter by 10% if he hits with a crit. Two requirements: crit, increase attack, and accuracy. So 3 things already we've got to do just to start to activate his kit. The second ability places his own increase attack, but it needs to be a critical hit. So again, it's just reading the kits to make sure you fully understand what they actually do and how you activate them. You know, there's other kind of nuances in this game, like this champion here, Ghostspawn, is A3. This debuff cannot be resisted. So that first check, as in, do we want to push accuracy on him? You could decide not to, in this case, and just push his. So you've got one requirement, skips out. So you can literally just skip straight to speed, defensive stats, damage, and it makes your builds easier to do. The reading their kits and their requirements is so crucial. But guys, if you follow anything coming out of this video, it's A, S, D, D. Accuracy, speed, defensive stats, damage. That's the rule. That's how you win in this game. Hopefully this video has been insightful and helpful. Let me know if I've missed anything from the important kind of structure of this, and I'll catch you in a video soon.